I'm going to be joined by this panel, and we're going to explain kind of the topic of conversation. It really revolves around you. Last I looked, you're all humans, and you're all going to be dealing with the impact of technology. And you're going to be leading organizations that are dealing with that. And one of our biggest challenges in this new era of AI is the impact it's going to have on our employees. As we've thought about it, everybody thinks about it as job replacement, job elimination. I want you to think in another E word. It's job elevation. But if we're going to achieve the kinds of things that we saw earlier that were presented to you in all of the companies that have had a chance to talk to you about how they're deploying technology, it's going to be man plus machine. It's going to be humans augmented by technology. And it's going to require special skills and understanding, new skills in terms of all of our people to be able to access, deal with, and utilize this technology. The question for all of us in this room is, where do we find these people? And so we've brought together four of our partners here to talk about how, in fact, they're addressing that. So if I could, I would like to first introduce Volker Pirtek, who is the CEO of Buy-In. Now, if you aren't familiar with Buy-In, they have an amazing partnership. They've actually brought Deutsche Telekom and Orange, or France Telecom in its old history, yes? They brought them together, working together, procuring technology. And of course, they've bought lots of our stuff, correct?
That's true.
Oh, good. Thank you very much for that commercial, Volker. We appreciate it. Next, we have Christine Meehan, and Christine is the Vice President of Retail Systems at Vanguard. And she's going to talk to you about a very interesting way in which she's managing her personnel. She's even given them a very special name, and we'll let her share that with you. Next to her is Jonas Forsland. And Jonas is the Director of Global Optimization and Analytics at Klarna. And those of you who do not know Klarna AB, Swedish-based company, they have 7 million customers and 70,000 merchants already under their belt. And they've only been going at this about 12 years, John?
Yep.
Good.
And we have actually 70 million consumers.
I knew you would correct me and feel compelled to do this. This
Yes.
is good.
It's a
We're
factor
working
of
well
10.
together already.
It's a factor
I
of
like
10 I
it.
would have made this.
Then I would like to, as I sit down and just give him the platform, one of the things that we know has got to happen is we've got to rethink our education. If we're going to find the new students and the new players in our communities of interest, we're going to have to find a way to reskill our people, reskill the educational systems in the world, so that the kinds of students we need to fill these jobs are going to be available to us. And so there's much to be done with the adult community and retraining, as well as the students. And one of the pioneers of this effort is sitting next to me. Dr. Weideman here, Craig Weideman. He actually is, and I have to read this because it's an interesting description, and it's very long too, by the way, just to say. But he is the Special Assistant to the Provost for Innovation, Education, Technology Initiatives, and the EdTech Network. Do you have any spare time? There's many other things Dr. Weideman does, but I would like to have you start us off with, if we're going to find a way to find the feeder pool for really dealing with this new technology, it's really going to come from the students that we know are coming through the universities and retraining of the adult community, like through your World Campus. So I would like you just to share, as we start, a bit about what you've been working on.
Well, thank you very much, Jonathan, for inviting us to be here. Clearly from my black socks, I'm not a digital cooperation catalyst. Rather, I work at an institution that's been around since 1855. We were one of the first land-grant universities that came into effect with the Morrill Act that Lincoln signed. So we've been around a long time, but I've been in, and I wasn't there when it started, but I've been in higher education.
I was. I went there. I was your first class. Yeah, this is great.
I've been in higher education for 40 years, and I think the impact of artificial intelligence is probably the most dynamic, transformative, and disruptive force that I think we've ever dealt with. And at Penn State, what we're trying to do is to figure out how to help our students address, to move into this new world. One of our strategies is to work closely with IPSoft. And yesterday, in fact, we signed a memorandum of agreement to really build a broad collaboration with IPSoft. But what we're doing is with IPSoft, we're creating a cognitive technology innovation center. And embedded in that, we have two major foci. The first of all is we believe together with IPSoft, we can really lead the transformation of higher education through the integration of artificial intelligence and educational technology. There are really two things we're working on. First of all is how to prepare our students for the 21st century workforce. You've heard speakers all day today talk about this incredible volatile time. Think about it, we have 100,000 students. 20,000 of these are working adults, significant military population. 20,000 of the students are studying at a distance. How do we prepare them for this dynamic future? With our collaboration with IPSoft, we're working sort of at the micro and macro level. At the micro level, our students really love to apply what they're learning. So with IPSoft, we're looking at adding more hackathons, focusing on the impact of artificial intelligence. We're doing challenges, Amelia challenges, where we're having faculty and students work together on projects, internships, applied undergraduate research. We're looking at a significant number of ways to collaborate, help our students really engage with this new technology. Also, we're looking at broadly our curriculum, and clearly in the data sciences and computer sciences and IT, there's a real focus on artificial intelligence. But we think it's equally important to look at the impact of artificial intelligence in the teaching field, nursing, supply chain, and other fields, and that's really important, I think, to help prepare our students. The second thing we're working on together, which we think is important preparation, is for our students to experience the impact of artificial intelligence. How many of you attended an American university? Frequently what would happen if you got your bill and there was a mistake, we would tell you to go to the bursar office. Most students would say, what the heck is a bursar? And then you go to the bursar and they say, well, you might need to go to financial aid, and you find out your schedules, there's a mistake, and then you go to the registrar. Then you're sent to the advisor. Well, we're hoping with our collaboration with IPSoft that Amelia could be sort of the concierge, the interface, the one-stop shop for our students to interact with as they pursue their education. What that does, and it frees our staff up, for example, our advisors, to really work on the immediate issues to help these students understand what they need to do and learn to be successful in the future.
So now we know where all you are going to get your next employees. You're all coming to Penn State.
Perfect.
This is good. So Jonas, given that you're a very rapid growing fintech company, you have a lot of focus on the technology, how are you finding your ability to grow the talent that you require and recruit that talent in the marketplace?
I think recruitment is actually a challenge to find the right people. We're sourcing people from all over the world. Where I work in Stockholm, we have the head office. We are roughly 700 people, and we're 35 nationalities in that office. So we are getting people everywhere. I think that to develop the talent, I think that what we do, I mean, we don't have any programs in place for our people. We have an average age of less than 32 at the company. What we do is allow people to explore technology, to try themselves, and we don't limit people in using technology, which means that they use technology, use digital products, and then, you know, on their spare time, free time, and then they bring that to work, and we can develop and you know, go from that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Christine, you've demonstrated a lot of innovation as it's, you know, it applies to taking your people as they are today and now trying to introduce technology to them. In fact, you call your team a very interesting name. You call them the crew, if I remember correctly.
That's correct. We're not employees at Vanguard. We are crew.
I love it. And so I can picture the crew. There's the human rowers on one side and the digital rowers on the other. And so you've been working this collaboration. How is that working in trying to bring along the people that have been working there? How are they adapting to this new technology?
So far, all the feedback we've gotten has been very positive. we're actually looking to augment our staffing with a virtual assistant. So the use case that we have is within our contact center. And we're leveraging Amelia to serve up content so that our phone associates can better service our clients through the phone call, through the phone channel. So I don't feel as if anybody's concerned at this point about losing jobs. Right now it's more giving them the skills and the resources that they have available to them, make them more accessible, to be able to be more successful. So we're also going after what we call a crew engagement play. So not only am I charged with focusing on the cost, and obviously there's great cost savings with this technology, but also looking at how do we engage and get our crew excited and want to come to work every day. And we're hoping that this will be something that will support that initiative.
So Volker, last for you, we don't think of telcos as necessarily innovators. However, coming together as they have, and no offense, of course, seeing how that's where I came from, so you allow me this. But if I look at it, you have fostered a very interesting partnership through this procurement focus. And now as you begin to look at this, you have a very interesting focal point for all technologies that are being introduced to these companies. Tell me about what you're seeing from the technologies, the interest on the part of the telcos that you represent, and again, a little bit about, so how are they dealing with all of this significant change in their operating world?
A couple of questions in it. If I look into my shareholders, which are telco, which are maybe as conservative as banks, and insurance is maybe a little more, a little less. So it's fascinating to see that both companies are running more or less 100 pilots right now with artificial intelligence. And what we find is that it's less the technical skills we are lagging, is more the mindset we have to work on. And so when we think about skills and what we have to do in the company to change it, then we think more about mindset change. That's the first. And that is a little bit about training, of course, sending also top management to Stanford, learn about innovation, etc., or to Penn State, or to Duke, or whatever. But it's also interesting to see it, and that's an experience which we make right now. I'm in my company, the procurement company, I'm more on the value side of this game, less efficiency. So nobody in my company is really afraid of losing job. However, there are, I would say, at least half of the team is not really working proactively in this Amelia project, because in my white-collar world, knowledge is power. And it's an interesting phenomena that if you walk up the ladder and you try to support people in the white-collar world, they have to share the knowledge, and this vision of having shared knowledge maybe across my footprint of 46 countries, that this is kind of giving people the impression that they lose their personal value, that they lose their personal identity. And knowledge is extremely important for your personal kind of positioning in the white-collar world. And that is one of my biggest problems right now. The white-collar is not giving up the knowledge and not sharing it with Amelia. They didn't share with colleagues easily in the past, and they for sure don't want to share with Amelia.
Well, that's an interesting, you brought this point up earlier, and I think Christine, when we go back to the crew, one of the things that the crew was struggling with was acquiring that knowledge through some of your knowledge management systems and et cetera, because they desired to be knowledgeable in order to best serve their customers. So we know that customer experience, customer satisfaction has a great deal to do with how well your team can access the knowledge, process the knowledge, connect to where they can get it the fastest so that they can respond back to their customer. So interesting from your standpoint, how is it going on connecting to that knowledge management? So we're actually gaining knowledge by using Amelia versus having to give it up. It's an interesting environment. Christine, what would you say?
Yeah, for us, it was our crew had to go to multiple systems to get the information. So for us, it's been a great tool to be able to get the information in a very timely fashion and knowing that it's right and it's consistent every time we give it to a client. So I'm not going to say that we didn't have to go to those subject matter experts to kind of pull some of that out of them and be able to feed that into Amelia. So there was, we had to position it, we had to be careful with the people that we were dealing with, because they were the experts, and that's how they prided themselves, in their job, and they were put in that job for a reason, because they were the experts. And now we're trying to take that information from them and actually put it into Amelia. So we had to be very careful about that. We created a couple new positions. A couple people got promoted to come over to support the program. So we've tried to do it in a very positive way, but I can definitely empathize with what you're going through.
Yeah, and this is highly correlated with age.
Yes. Us older folk like power. We're unwilling to give it up. Yes. Yeah. But I don't know anything, so it's easy. Jonas, are you seeing any of that challenge in your environment?
We are very early in this project. It's just recently started, but I guess that from our perspective, we will deploy Amelia in a contact center environment where roughly 85% of all the contact is actually managed first line at first contact. So given the sort of environment we operate in, we grow with high double-digit figures every year. So for us, it's more or less, implementing something to enable scalability. And I think that from our point of view, this will be something that increases employee satisfaction. Because we still need to hire people. We don't need to hire as many people, hopefully, but they can do the fun tasks.
Yes.
While Amelia can do, the boring stuff, right? And I guess that's what we hope, that we will have a positive spin-off in that. So we don't see any sort of conflict in people, retaining or keeping information. We can actually see people actually want to be a part of it and dig in and support.
Yes.
I think it's fun.
Well, we're very early on also, but we're seeing, for example, with our academic advisors, and I just spent some time with a good group of them, they're ready to give up some of the mundane work and answering the same questions over and over again. They want to sit down and talk to adult students about the challenges of having 3 children and coming back to school. Or a young student, should I do a study abroad program? They want to really engage with students and kind of give up some of the mundane, repetitive work that they've been doing for years.
Yeah, so they can free themselves up to be more of the counselor and really the help to a lot of these people that would like that guidance coming, and it's tough to provide it and staff it with the kind of people needed to take care of all of the students you have. I was going to make a comment. It's not promoting the book. I've actually not read it, so I will say that ahead of time. But there was a book written by Clive Thompson, and it was entitled "You're Smarter Than You Think." Now, if we would just think for a moment, what does that mean? It just means that I have a certain level of brain power. I have a certain level of semantic knowledge that I've gained, maybe episodic knowledge that I've gained over time. When I connect to Amelia, I'm smarter than I think. I'm able to access more intelligence, more capabilities, more knowledge, the kinds of things that make me more effective, more efficient, more capable. And therefore, when I begin to align with the machine is when I grow in intelligence. And so when I think about giving up knowledge, yes, there may need, as Christine designed, one of the things we designed was this idea of educators or collaborators who would sit and work with building best practices, help Amelia get efficient and capable as fast as possible. That kind of knowledge was given up. But what happens, and people find this quickly, is they become more capable, more knowledge, more effective, more efficient, because they've been able to now plug into an Amelia, a machine, a technology, an educational source. And so that from what we're getting from feedback is that people are reaching a higher level of satisfaction, now being able to more readily respond to their customer, know more information. And frankly, I think it aids the job satisfaction level. And that if I'm working in a customer service center, and I'll try one more time with all of you, how many of you grew up wanting to be a customer service agent? Ah, you cheater, you know the question, and thanks a lot, Alan, for wrecking my score. It's been a perfect 0 everywhere I go. 0. No one wants that job. And the reason they don't want that job is because we put a lot of burden on them. We put them at the front line. They've got to talk to prospects, customers, employees, wherever you've placed them, and typically we give them tough knowledge management systems to access. We don't necessarily train them with the depth that they need to perform, and therefore we put them on the firing line sometimes with no bullets. And that's a tough job. That's a tough job. And We know that what we want to do is we want to grow those people and their knowledge and capability because they're the most important people in your company. They're the ones who touch your customers, your prospects, and your employees. So adding that knowledge comes well with connecting to Amelia. So as we wrap ourselves up and people get ready to go on their way, Volker, would you like to add anything to the discussion?
I think I just want to emphasize that I think we have more mindset problem than a skill problem right now, and this mindset problem starts in the management. And I believe Amelia is something which doesn't start in the IT department. It starts really in the management of the company.
Christine.
I think the biggest thing I learned is there's not a finish line. This is definitely a journey, and it's going to take time, and it's going to evolve. And the second most important thing that I can't emphasize enough, it's not magic. And that is something that was very hard for us to get across to our business partners. It doesn't just learn on its own. And once we got better at understanding how she learns and how to train Amelia, which we're still learning, I'll be honest, I don't think we even fully know what it takes to train Amelia, but it's going to require work. It's not magic.
You're early in your voyage, but what's your feeling?
I think a takeaway from today, actually, yesterday also, is that my, feeling before was that you do this to save cost. But I heard many people now vouch for that you actually do it to improve the customer experience, the customer happiness.
Yes.
And I think that's why we are doing it also. We're not primarily in it to save cost. We're actually primarily in it to increase availability, improve satisfaction of consumers. And I think that's good news, because I think that's where the value lies, to start with that perspective, not starting with a cost-cutting perspective, because or efficiency perspective.
So if I could, and I'll let Craig make kind of the final comments, I think if we're teaching our employees, teaching the new students who are coming into the workforce, if we're talking to them about job enhancement, we're talking about how do I better serve my customers, my employees, my prospects, and et cetera, and that's the job challenge, then it really does take a different mentality. How do I take myself and enhance my skills? How could I go back to school and gain some additional capabilities? Maybe I finish up that degree I didn't get. And where should I focus, right? What are the kinds of things? And I think, again, the educational environment has got to give the students the access to these technologies so they can be prepared.
I think what's unique about higher education is each year we have a new batch of 18-year-olds that come in. Obviously, we've got adult students also, but they're coming in more facile, more comfortable with technology, and they're really pushing us to be more aggressive, more innovative, because they've got this expectation of a world that they're moving into that we need to respond to. So they're really one of the real drivers of change at the university.
Well, it's young students and millennials that I have a hard time with. I really don't like the other one of them because they put such demands on us. If we would just stick together, Volker, we're going to be fine.
Obviously.
Yeah, and I'm not sharing any knowledge, so I think we're together.
We're
All
in
right.
the upper quarter.
Well, I appreciate all of you being here, and again, for Penn State University for entrusting us to work together with you. I think it's going to be a fascinating journey working with you and your team, so that's great. And I want to thank all of you for being an attentive group today. Thank you, and thank you to my esteemed panel. Thank you very much.